Welcome to Susie's Enchanted Crossroads, a podcast that helps you navigate your journey through the crossroads. I'm Susie, and together we will be taking a deeper look into witchcraft and spirituality. So settle in, and let's get this episode going. Hello, gorgeous soul. Do I have an absolute treat in this episode? First things first, how are you doing today? How has your week been? How is it feeling that we're closing out July? Yeah. It's like it just squeaks by so slowly, and then all of a sudden we're halfway done with the year. Isn't that wild? If you don't know at this point in time, I have a newsletter and a Patreon. Both are absolutely free to join. Okay. And the reason I bring this up now is because I just started my Patreon, so I'm trying to be a little bit more active there. However, I send out a newsletter every single week. Now, those of you that are already part of my newsletter coven, there'll be a slight change. Usually I send those out every Monday, and now I'm going to kind of toy with sending them out on Sunday, really setting you up for the week. Now, in these newsletters, I pull a tarot card specifically for my newsletter coven, kind of giving you the astro things that are going on. Like we're currently in Mercury Retrograde. We just had the new moon in Leo, and the energy from the card that was pulled specifically for this group. So, why am I saying this? Because I put that energy right into my newsletter and in my Patreon. Now it's free to join my Patreon. And I like to put things out there in case, maybe you can't support me yet in a tier. But I do like to post little freebies for y'all, right? Because I know how hard it is in the world. Now, let me set this scene, okay? I had signed up for one of those calls via Zoom, and it was called Magic and Myth, and a chat with Ruth Connell and Steve Hein. And when I saw this on Instagram, I was like, well, I love what Steve produces, right? Because y'all know I'm a supernatural just fan. And Ruth Connell was Rowena in Supernatural, and I love her. Like, I love her energy. She's so down to earth. I just love them both. So to me, no brainer. Duh. I'm gonna pop in this discussion. And I'm so glad that I did because even the people that were there, the community were all alive in the chat. Super cool, very chill. Now, that was on a Thursday. As soon as we ended the call, well, not as soon as we ended the call, but on Friday and into the weekend, I kept thinking, oh man, what if I just shoot Steve Hein an email, basically gushing on how much I admire the work that he has done and created and how it really aligned with me. And so on Monday, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. So I typed out, I was really like, I love your work. I was a gushing fan, right? I'm a fan of your work. I gave him a little bit about me, so hopefully he didn't think I was a nutcase. But I was like, if I could say, I don't know, two words as a fairy, I'll audition for that. Um, to be a voice actor. And if anything, just how much I'd been loving Anomalie, which is his amazing project. And we're gonna talk about it. I don't want to give too much away just yet. And I would love to have him as a guest on my podcast. Now, a little Delulu, maybe, but not entirely. So I did it. I typed out the email and I checked it twice, thrice, because we're currently in Mercury retrograde. So I sent in, at the very least, I was like, maybe I'll hear from an assistant that checks his emails. And that was it. Moved on, started doing other work. He responded. And I mean, Steve Hein responded to my email, you guys. The founder and CEO of Story Mill Media responded to me. And he said, yes, he would love to be a guest on my podcast. Now, I was in shock. I had the butterflies. I was like, oh my God, am I being like catfished right now? Did I get the right email? I was shooketh. So let me tell you a little bit about Mr. Steve Hein because this is a very special episode. I really had an absolute pleasure in speaking with someone I really admire deeply and the work that they've done. Here it goes. Steve Hein, founder and CEO of Story Mill Media. Story Mill Media began in 2022, and the very first podcast they launched was Supernatural Then and Now, which many of you know I love. Love, love, love. I binge watched the Supernatural show and I binge listened to that Supernatural Then and Now podcast. Now, Steve's newest project is the stunningly innovative and soul expanding Anomalie. Anomalie is a role playing meditation unlike anything else you have ever listened to, you guys. Beautiful project, Anomalie. Now, Steve has been in the podcasting space for over 6 years. Most recently, he was the SVP of digital content at NBC Entertainment. And he oversaw just these amazing podcasts that were based on NBC's primetime hits, like The Good Place podcast, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, the podcast, Law and Order SVU, The Squad Room. All of these were winners. A Weebly winner won the 2020 iHeart Award for Best Branded Podcast. Just fantastic. While at NBC, Steve also earned 3 Emmy nominations for his work on short form series and digital campaigns. Before that, he was a senior vice president at Legendary Digital Networks, where he helped steer the Nerdist podcast network. And even earlier in his journey, he served as vice president of Fox Digital Studio at 20th Century Fox. Right now, can you see why I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. With 3 decades in entertainment, Steve worked with visionary creators. If I'm sure you can imagine, like we talk about Eric Kripke here also. So the man knows storytelling. Um, yeah. So let's talk a little bit about Anomaly. This project is incredible. It just won Signal Awards 2024 Listener's Choice for Most Innovative Audio Experience and was a 2025 Ambie nominee for Best Spirituality Personal Growth Podcast. Woo! Anomaly is an immersive audio journey. Okay, it's part fantasy, part meditation, part sound healing. You enter a richly imagined world and you're learning enchantments and you become this person as you are going through these stories. It's voiced by the talented Ruth Connell, Todd Stachwick, and NC Gray. And it is all rooted in real healing modalities, y'all. So, as I'm gushing about it, what I need you to do right now is open up another tab, or you can pause. And you can do this in the show notes or you can type it in really quick. But this is what I want you to do right now, gorgeous soul. I want you to head to seekanomaly.com. Okay, seekanomaly.com. SEEKANOMALIE.com. Cool. You there? Awesome. Now, take your time going through all of this and reading it. You can click on Greetings Observer, and you can also click on Common Questions, and you'll get the full scoop. How the community works, how the cast got involved, and the magic behind the episodes. Now, they partnered with Mighty Networks to build a space that's free of noise and full of connection, right? A place where the content unfolds in a meaningful sequence and a community that's featured all in one place. Now, Steve does have dreams of launching their own app one day, so I can't wait for that. And we talk about that in this episode. I want to give Steve the proper spotlight because he truly deserves it. Not just for the work he's done, but for the intention, the vision, and the heart that he brings to every project. And Steve, if you're listening, you should really seriously pat yourself on the back. Because when I have been listening to Supernatural Then and Now podcast, and I unlocked the fairy circle or the fairy ring in Anomalie. The way that the community is chatting together, the beauty of the art and the visuals and the sounds, you can tell this was made with not just love, but the energy put into it. You can't, it's just amazing. So, this is where I tell y'all, as my wonderful audience listeners, shoot your shot. You never know. If I didn't, just, you know what? I'm just going to do it and not be scared, not fear, right? I never would have had this amazing connection with someone with so much talent. I mean, the man is decorated. And it's very important as you're manifesting things to help the universe bring that to fruition. It's so important to continue to take those steps, and I get it. That's why I have this podcast, Susie's Enchanted Crossroads, because sometimes we're at a crossroads. I was at the crossroads all weekend, 3 days. I was like, oh, should I email him? What if he thinks like, oh my goodness, who's this person with their tiny little podcast? Me good on there as a guest? I think not. The imposter syndrome can set in. What if my questions are just a silly and, they're just questions he's used to hearing over and over and over again? But I still went through with it. Oh my gosh, it's Mercury retrograde, and I just heard so many things like don't do anything. It's a scary time. No, it's just a time for you to just take your time, go slower, you know, and see where Mercury is in your chart. It's going to hit everybody differently. Now, I would do you as a listener a disservice if I didn't ask the questions that he's probably answered a million times, I'm sure. Like, what is a producer? What made you get into the podcasting world after TV and film? But you probably never heard that, right? It's okay to ask those base questions so that way your audience, my audience, you all can connect like, oh, wow, that's what a producer does. Because, like I said, I thought I knew. I do not. Obviously, I'm not in that space, right? But now we understand at base level, right? Who this person is and what they've done. And then we go on into these new endeavors that he is boldly creating. Oh my gosh. So I did want to give Steve that proper spotlight because I want to get into this conversation. You're going to love it. It is a rich conversation. We talk about storytelling, creative integrity, the magic of audio, and his journey through evolving podcast spaces. So, whether you're a podcaster, a creative spirit, or someone just chasing a dream, this one's for you. So, let's get into it. Hello, gorgeous souls. Welcome back to Susie's Enchanted Crossroads. I'm so excited and nervous. I'm sure you can tell in my voice because I have a special guest here today. We have Mr. Steve Hein, who is the founder and CEO of Story Mill Media. I had all his accolades before this podcast has started, but welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Susie. I'm happy to be here. I'm so excited that you reached out and um, kind of told me about your podcast. I think it sounds great.
Thank you so much. Off mic, we were talking about, my heart did a little flutter. It's like, yeah, I listened to a couple of your episodes, and I was like, oh, that's so awesome that you did a little research yourself, which obviously in all that you do, I'm not surprised.
It- um, no, it's a cool show. I think I think it's an eclectic mix of like, I like the fact that you have meditations. I like the fact that you have guests. I like the fact that you're kind of offering guidance to people and in kind of a really like I mean, I know it's kind of witchy themed, but I really found it non-denominational. I feel like it's like just more spirituality focused, and
Mhm.
um, that's really stood out to me.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I just want to go ahead and get a quick start from the top. If you can tell my audience what you do as a producer, because I thought I knew, but listening to, you think you know something and you're like, oh, a producer, I get what you do. But in listening to the Supernatural Then and Now podcast and just reading up on like all the background stuff that goes on, I'm like, oh, I only know like surface level of what that is. And I know it's different between film, TV, and now into podcasting. If you want to just give us a little bit of what you do.
Yeah, so I'm responsible for it's really a broad producing role. I mean, if you listen to a big show like um, The Times or the Journal or Serial, like they'll have six or seven different producer credits because all those producers do a different thing. One of them might be a coordinating producer who's responsible for booking guests and making sure that episodes are delivered on time. Another person might be a creative producer who's responsible for writing the episode and editing the episode and supervising the music and stuff like that. And then there might be an executive producer who would be there to take care of marketing and sponsorship deals and kind of oversee the whole thing. And I do all of those roles for the shows that I'm involved with.
Mhm.
Especially the two shows that you mentioned, Supernatural, that are now an Anomaly. I have been in a fortunate place where I've done some shows on commission for like Red Bull and Amazon Prime Video and the Wall Street Journal, where I've been able to kind of hire a team of producers. So I'm
Mm,
not doing everything myself. But in the case of like Supernatural, then and now, and Anomaly, I do everything from, write scripts to coordinate the guests to managing the media to get it to the editors on time, to handling social media, to figuring out different ways for the podcast to make money and collecting that money and distributing it to the partners, looking for marketing partnerships. Um, it's a really entrepreneurial job, really creative job, um, and it challenges me to be really organized because I don't think I'm innately an organized person. But to get these episodes out on time and on a weekly basis in case of Supernatural then and now, or in the case of Anomaly, it's they're really complex episodes.
mm,
Um, doing because there's a lot of research involved in sound healing, in breathing techniques because it's all authentic. It's not like we just kind of, oh, let's make this up. Like it's all um, based on science and breathing techniques done kind of by people who uh, who do that professionally. And I worked with consultants. A colleague of mine, Leo Raderman, he was a consultant on the project, and he's a he's a registered he went to educate he got like a 2-year degree in sound healing,
mm.
and so he was a consultant for us. Another friend of mine, um, he's kind of a Buddhist meditation guru, and he read the scripts and helped me develop them. And so, we wanted them to be great stories, but also really effective meditations at the same time.
Yes.
And then like even like one of our writers, Kiri, who wrote a few of the episodes, she's a practicing witch, and so I really relied on her to make sure like the witchcraft references were really authentic. And like when she wrote she came up with the whole tranquility spell, and that's better based on kind of the magic she learned and kind of practicing witchcraft. Um, so we tried to just, even though it's fiction, we try to kind of use real world authentic inspiration as much as possible.
Yes, I love that. Even when, and I'll touch on, I'm gonna be going through, it's like Keeper of the Runes. I was like, ooh, do you read runes? And I get real excited about that, right? Because I've read runes and tarot, and everything I can tell is made with such care and love. So that's amazing upon all the list of things that you do. And as we
Yeah,
were
I mean it's
talking earlier, it's like, oh my gosh, it's such a thing.
yeah, and it's really trying to, in the case of Anomaly, trying to do world building.
Hmm.
So that's why we really want it to be authentic because I have it. I believe it or not, I have like 5 seasons ahead planned out,
I
and to
believe it.
me, and to me, it's a world as rich as Lord of the Rings or Wheel of Time, or it's just with that kind of history and those kind of characters that'll eventually kind of unfold as we make more episodes.
Awesome. So as you created Anomaly, it's beautifully constructed, as we're talking about, and it's role-playing meditation. You not only create, but you produce and direct, and you've written some of the stories I saw.
hmm
Um, how did you find your way from the world of like TV and film into this immersiveness of meditation and pod? Like, what made you take the leap into podcasting?
hmm Uh, uh, it was like I first got exposed to podcasting professionally around 2015. I went to work for a company called Legendary, and I was an executive there in charge of programming and production for their digital channels, which included, you know, Geek and Sundry, which was founded by Felicia Day, Nerdist, that was founded by Chris Hardwick, and Smart Girls, it was founded by Amy Poehler. And they were, digital media companies with YouTube content and Twitch streams and a podcast network and websites with fan news and they had the Nerdist podcast network was there. It was a network of 20 or so podcasts. That's where I really got exposed to like the business piece of it.
Hmm.
Um, and then from there, I went to my next job was at NBC, and I was an executive at NBC. I was in charge of all the digital content for all the primetime shows for like Law and Order and Brooklyn Nine-Nine and The Good
Hmm.
Place. And my bosses there asked me, he's like, "Can you get us into the podcast space?" And so we did a podcast for like American Ninja Warrior, Days of Our Lives, and the one that probably made the biggest impact was the podcast we did for The Good Place. It was super popular because the show
Hmm.
did so well on Netflix. And when I left NBC in when did I leave NBC? In 2021, I knew I wanted to kind of stay in the podcast space for two reasons. A, it was a lot of fun, but B, it didn't, I could get it done without a lot of buy-in from a lot of other people.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, if you know, understand the entertainment space, it just takes to get a movie or TV show made. It takes so many people to buy in. You have to build such a big team, and talent can be scarce to get the best people possible. And so I knew with podcasting, with very little resources, I could get shows up and running quickly and probably get some really great people to work with me on them.
That's awesome. As you were saying, podcasting makes you get organized, even if maybe you're not an organized person.
Yeah.
And I see that before I had this, as I went out solo, I co-hosted a podcast before this, and getting just two people scheduled together.
Oh, it's a
And
process.
yeah, and we're not crazy popular. It was basically what I'm doing here, but we had two different, we had a banter back and forth. And when we no longer could align schedules for whatever reason, right? Um, I still loved this. I loved getting in touch with people. And sometimes you never know because I just put this out into the corners of the world and who knows who's listening. And sometimes I'll get some feedback, but I'm seeing like, and I look at the stats. I don't know. I'm just like that. And I'm looking, I was like, okay, people are listening. I'm
Yeah.
getting some downloads. That's awesome. But I'm a Virgo. So I'm already very like, okay, I don't know if you could tell the emails I was sending you. Here are the questions just in case.
I love it.
And I was like, oh my God, he's probably like, this girl's crazy. But it's just I want to make myself sound obviously like I know what I'm doing, right? And then make my guests as comfortable as possible. So I did like that. All that stuff that you were saying about coming into the podcasting world. Switching back to Anomaly, where you were talking about some people who know a lot about sound healing. Was there a time where you realized audio could be a form of healing? And is that how Anomaly was kind of brought into creation?
I mean, the spark of the idea came from um, kind of actual play D&D shows.
Mm.
Like I don't know if you're familiar with Critical Role or any
Hmm.
of those shows, but like listening to Matt Mercer tell a story, um, it's very immersive. And so that was
Yes.
kind of the kernel of the idea of like hearing great voice actors kind
Mm-hmm.
of tell stories. Was kind of the kernel of the idea, and then it was, and then you know, I was going through kind of some guided meditations, and I started to get bored, to be honest with you, because like they
Mm-hmm.
all, if you listen to them on YouTube or even if you go to somebody in person, like they just start to all sound the same.
Yes.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so it was kind of those two pieces kind of married together of like, what if we had great voice performers doing guided meditations, but the guided meditations, you would still meditate and focus on kind of manifesting kind of something you're working on, be
Mm-hmm.
it your happiness or gratitude or whatever it is. But then if we could weave a story into it that's told by somebody who has just a healing voice. You talked about like incorporating your voice into your Reiki practice. I think it's very powerful because I think your voice transmits energy, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And some people are like you, that's a gift you have. I don't have that gift. Like my voice sounds like a cat
Oh,
in a
I think you
box.
have, no, I think you have a lovely voice.
But like certain people are get like Ruth Connell and Todd Stashwick,
Mhm.
they're gifted with these voices that I think are powerful.
Mhm. They're very
And
rich.
Yeah, just rich and powerful and complex,
Hmm.
and I think there's that energy kind of comes through. And so like as I was doing more research about like, you know, meditation and sound healing, just all like the sound healing and the breath work and the meditation structure kind of all just kind of fell together kind of seamlessly. And then,
Hmm.
once it was like, all right, well, these stories, like what kind of world do we want to paint them in? And that's where like the Lord of the Rings stuff and the witchcraft stuff started to kind of enter into it because it's like, well, if you want to meditate on being tranquil, why don't we teach somebody how to cast a tranquility spell?
Hmm.
Um, and so, that's where like those kind of ideas kind of came into it.
That's beautiful. And then you do the research on it. So even if I were listening, I'd be like, oh, ooh, a tranquility spell, let's hear it. And it hits and it lands.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it just is a testament of how much, you reach out and you do the research and you're actually, again, it's an immersive, you're getting into the story. And we can pretend it's this, and this, but the way I connect with what you were saying is, yeah, I want to make sure that, we're getting some authentic things here.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like there's authenticity in every kind of layer of it, from the sound healing frequencies that we use to the magic. Like, is the magic reflect real
Hmm.
kind of witchcraft? Does the principles of like, the breathe work, the box breathing or the 4 count breathing is all
Hmm.
kind of, actual, breath, real breath work exercises. Um, the narrative we kind of created to kind of like weave it all together is kind of follows a little bit of the hero's journey, and elements of like myth storytelling, because there's a reason
Hmm.
that like myths last permeate cultures and last throughout time is because they're powerful and they speak to people.
Yes.
And so we kind of use kind of elements of myth to try and kind of deepen that connection. So it's, I could talk about this stuff all day.
Yeah. I would have you all day. It's amazing. It's like I could talk about it all the time, and even through myth and storytelling, because I'm actually rewatching Supernatural. I've become
Mhm.
one of those fans,
Yeah, yeah.
and just going back to season one, I'm like, this is an amazing show. It's 2025, and I'm coming back to the show that had 15 seasons, and the first season is like the monster of the week kind of thing,
Hmm.
but the lady in white, as we talk about, because I'm Hispanic, it's like La Llorona, and that's just passed down,
Hmm.
through all of the history, and it's in other parts, and it's almost like a part of us keeps moving forward even when we're no longer here. So I
Hmm.
love that. That's beautiful. Okay, so everything that you do, you're producing, you're editing, you're getting contacts, you're answering this girl's email. Amidst of all that you do, how do you stay? grounded and focused, especially because, you yourself are dealing with a lot of people's energy. So what do
Yeah.
you do in order to take a breath, stay grounded?
I start my day with kind of, I either go for a hike, go for a run, or go to the gym. Um, if I'm at the gym, that usually involves listening to a podcast that's kind of something that's enriching, like, like the Rich Roll podcast or something like that, something that kind of helps ground me a little bit. Um, and yeah, I try to start my day like that before I get into work. Because if once I sit down at my desk, I feel like,
Hmm.
you know, I'm not going to leave. So
Yeah.
so
Yeah. It's like you're planted there doing all the work.
yeah, it's hard for me to break away once I get kind of started. So it's like
Hmm.
it's the first, like I drop my get my kids out the door. It's camp now because we're still in summer, but it'll be school. But like once they're out the door, I kind of spend 45 minutes just kind of either on a run, a hike, or at the gym. Um, and then it's also a little bit of a kind of a short meditation is probably worked in there as well for like 5 minutes, just kind of like centering myself. So
Good. That's awesome. You're better than me. I don't go to the gym first thing in the morning, but moving the body has been the most helpful, and that's why I usually like to tell people, even if it's just as soon as you step out of bed, reaching your arms up over your head and just, reaching down to your toes, just that little bit of movement in the body can make such a difference.
huge
Uh, I'm,
difference.
I mean, I'm moving all day. I'm a dance teacher, but
Yeah, yeah.
um, but in between that, I'm teaching this new section. It's like, pay attention. Yes, you can go to the bathroom. Announcement. The phone ring.
Yeah.
And it's by the time you know it, it's done, and then almost that set of frustration. Like I didn't even get through the first 8 counts of this routine
Yeah.
on some days. So reminding yourself just to kind of plant your feet, maybe feel the sun on your face, and take a deep breath
Yeah.
every day is very helpful,
Yeah,
rather
and I
than
try I try to
nothing.
also do it midday. Like walking is like incredibly important for me because
Hmm.
I'm sitting, all
Hmm.
day. Um, so I try and get out and take walks at least 2 or 3 times during the day to kind of break it up.
That's awesome. I actually just recently bought a walking pad. So, because
Nice.
I'm in the desert,
Yeah.
so it's like what, 100 and I don't know, 10 degrees. And no, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, I
So
can understand that.
I'll
Is
be
there a mall close
melting.
by? You could like be one of those ladies that like race walks in the mall.
I actually had seen some and I was like, well, it was a gentleman. I was like, what is this gentleman? Like, I thought, I was like, man, there's a sale going. Where's he going?
Yeah.
And then my friend's like, I think he's speed walking. We were there on a trip with the kids and they were eating at the food court. And I was
Yeah.
like, speed walking, really? And I had just noticed they implemented like this is a quarter mile. And then I saw a lady and I was like, this would be awesome if it was closer to where I worked in. I
Yeah.
had time right for that, but I was like, this is awesome. Just like window shopping, but you got to keep going. You can't stop and buy the
Yeah.
item, right?
No, I grew up in Florida and I always thought it was silly to see it in the mall, but like now that like, because I was a teenager, like
Hmm.
you didn't think about exercising when you're a teenager.
Especially when your metabolism, you just
Yeah.
blink and it's gone?
And it's like, but in Florida, it's like Texas, it's like it gets hot. And so if you want to
Yeah.
take a walk, like
Hmm.
going to the mall and doing it is a smart choice.
Yeah, y'all need the air conditioning. Y'all have the humidity. I'm more of a dry heat. So
Yeah. Yeah.
when we get any rain, it's a blessing, but then we're all dying because we're not used to it. Um, so I do advocate for mental health, and I do say meditation is not only for spiritual, it's not only for witchy, it's not only for yogis, because I remember going, I was like, ugh, those yoga people, those hippies, it's all for them. And we've had a big shift, at least in society, right? That it's for everyone. It's good to like take a breath. And I know at first I was like, what does that mean? Touch grass. Everyone's like, touch grass, go touch a tree. But it helps reconnecting with that nature. Has meditation shifted on how you approach leadership and your creative decision with Anomalie, or maybe how you talk about it? Especially when, for myself, if I do have young men, right? And they're like, that's only for girls.
Yeah.
You're a human body and being and experiencing, the world. It's for everybody. And just trying to, I guess, bridge that gap that
Yeah.
had been made.
Yeah, I think that's one of the goals of Anomaly because it is tells this kind of fantasy story that it takes so it doesn't feel spiritual in the kind of religious sense. Like I
Mm-hmm.
hear what you're saying. Like some people could think, oh, it's meditation, that's about Buddhism or that's about Hindu
Yeah.
or whatever. This, kind of takes away those anomaly, kind of removes some of those removes those religious elements and tries to kind of make it accessible because it is, you're basically listening to a story every week, every episode. Um, so that's one of the goals is to kind of broaden it out to people who might have been hesitant about trying meditation because it, felt foreign, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then, how it impacts my thoughts about leadership. I think it's, I'm trying to get my message out there and get this out into the world because I think it's something I want to dedicate my life to, um, is helping people. And I think this is the best way I can do that, because I love storytelling and I love making things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so for me, it's a win-win because it helps me. It's kind of nourishes my soul, and hopefully it nourishes the listener's souls as well.
For sure. When I got on Anomaly and you have a couple of questions, but also getting to know about you. And I love how as you have even that comfort movie or that comfort show or that comfort book, it's that form as you're going into like almost like a meditation, a very Zen time as you're watching this film or show, lowering the heart rate, allowing yourself to breathe and kind of ground into it. And I thought that was such a beautiful way to bridge that gap. Like, yeah,
Mhm.
just as you maybe even listen to your favorite song on repeat because it helps you. This is it, or to pump you up, that's just how we connect with those things. I thought, and I was like, ah, yeah, Star Wars, yes.
Yeah, 1000%. I mean, that's kind of, I wrote about on the website, I've been rewatching Star Wars for the past, 40 years. Um, and so in all of its different formats from VHS to DVD to streaming to digital. Um, and it's like what you said, it's nostalgic,
Hmm.
B, it's familiar, C, it's usually, you listen to the, how Yoda or Obi-Wan talks, it's like those are lessons for life, in terms of how to, center yourself and focus um so it checks a lot of the boxes that of self-care that I didn't even realize I was doing. And
Right.
and
Yeah.
um and I think that's one of the things, and you see that now, like you're seeing more of it in academia of them, I mean, acknowledging this term called applied fantasy, where it's your people who reread Harry Potter, who rewatch Supernatural, who rewatch Star Wars or Lord of the Rings. It's a type of self-care,
Hmm.
um, because it's giving your brain a chance to slow down.
Right. Uh, we're Star Wars fans over here too. And my husband, like, we watch all of it, shows, the cartoons, and everything. Because I'm like, wow, because I thought I was a fan compared to him. Can't even hold a candle, right? So I'm even learning. I was like, wow, I didn't know because I just thought they were just sideshows, but they
Yeah,
all connect with each other, which I was
yeah,
like, that's freaking amazing.
yeah,
One, and getting a better insight on some other movies that he watches. And to me, I'm like, why do you watch this movie? It's so depressing. Like it's so sad, but that's to me it's sadness, right? Because I connect with it that way. But for him, it's like I'm enjoying it. And he tells me it's like I'm learning
yeah.
through what happened, through the characters. I'm learning for myself, day-to-day life. And at first I was like, "Ugh, you just love depressing things, and just, joke about it later. But then it's coming to realize, yeah, that's a form of self-care. This is what you're familiar with, and finding different lessons, maybe
Yeah,
every time you watch it or every other time you watch it, which is what I do. But again, we don't think about it as, oh, that's exactly what I was doing the whole time.
yeah. No, for sure. And I think those are, I mean, and the other side of that, you have like, whereas Lord of the Rings is all about hope, and you have um uh uh why is it escaping me the name of the show? the show on HBO.
Game of Thrones?
Game of Thrones, which is
Oh,
all
okay.
about despair. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the opposite. It's like, you have all this content about hope, like Doctor Who and Star Wars and Lord of the
hmm
Rings, and then you have, on the other side of that, you have Game of Thrones, which is all about misery.
Yeah. And we didn't watch Game of Thrones until after all the hype because I was like, I don't know about this. And at first it was like, oh, there's so much, sex and nudity and all this stuff. I was like, well, I don't know about all that. But then after all the hype and then the show, I guess before it was like a prequel to it, and we're like, House of Dragon.
Mhm.
All right, let's go ahead and watch it. And I was like, God, it's so sad.
Yeah, it is, and I wonder. It's a great show, and I love it, and I
Oh,
watch
it's
it
fantastic.
religiously, but I don't
hmm
rewatch it.
Right.
And
hmm
that's, I think, what's curious, and somebody far smarter than me could probably explain why, but I think I think people like to feel good, and they like to feel nostalgic, and they like to feel familiar and uplifted. That's why they rewatch Lord of the Rings.
hmm
Yes, they like to be thrilled and scared, and see beautiful bodies and be titillated in some gore, but
hmm Oh, that was
but
so much more eloquently put than how I put it.
um but I think once you watch it, then you're like, all right, I got it, and then you kind of
hmm
move on.
Right.
And that's why, that's my theory on like why Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit will be rewatched again and again and again and be constantly on a loop. And Game of Thrones, people watch it and they know the twist and they get their kind of roller coaster ride, and then they
hmm
move on to the next one.
Right. Yeah. When I was answering the questions on Anomalie, I was so I probably read this and it's like love Supernatural, right? But as far as movies, like I go from Constantine,
Yeah.
which, which I don't know, I love watching that, to You've Got Mail, and then I'm like, oh, you know what? I also love Sleepless in Seattle, and then I'll go dark again, and someone's gonna be looking at this like this girl's all over the place. But it's
Yeah.
almost like,
Yeah, but
what?
Friends and The Office, like they're all in that same category of like
Mm-hmm.
comfort food.
Yeah, but I love the when I'm watching like Constantine, right, or Silence of the Lambs. That's another one where I'm just like, oh, that's fantastic, and that'll be and then my husband would be like, okay. I watch depressing things, but you're watching Silence of the Lambs and you're snuggled, with our dog. And I'm like, I can't explain it. It feels good.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's
that's
just
a
a
great
part of
film.
it. Yeah.
Anthony Hopkins was brilliant in it.
Oh, brilliant. I'll never forget it. Okay, so I'm just going to switch gears from Anomaly and we'll touch back on it. But just because I'm brand new to the Supernatural fandom,
Yeah.
I was a little leery to start it because I'm like, am I going to be invested for 15 seasons? First of all, right? Because I had heard about it, I really didn't know it. And then I had gotten sick on a Christmas and New Year's, and my husband took his boys to go to my in-laws because I was sick. I was like, go visit because they don't live in town. I'll be fine. I was sick as a dog. And I binge watched Lucifer. It was fantastic. I was
Nice.
like, wow. I won't do spoilers, but I was so sad. And then I was like, I need to laugh. So then I watched Schitt's Creek because those are
Yeah.
shows I just never watched. And then I was like, I'm gonna do it. Supernatural it is. And then got me like that. And when
Yeah.
you hear people say it, they're like, yeah, whatever. And I was like, no, it just grabs you.
Yeah.
And I binged watched that for about like within 5.5 months. And
Wow.
then I wanted to, what else is there? I know this is a huge fandom, right? And so, their Facebook. I'm not really on Facebook, but then I found your podcast.
Hmm.
And I wasn't done with Supernatural when I found your podcast and I was like, wait, what if there's spoilers? And so I didn't start it till after.
Yeah.
Thank goodness, because I never,
There are spoilers.
there's, and you guys preface that, thank goodness. But then I was shook when I was like, Chuck is who? What? And I was like, and so listening to that, I was like, wow. So Supernatural Then and Now was your first podcast, right? That you're creating. And
For my company. Yeah. Yeah.
why do a rewatch podcast?
Why do I mean, the biggest reason was it's kind of a love letter to my friend Eric Kripke. Eric Kripke
Mm,
and I are kind of um we were college friends, and we've been friends since then, and we've worked together before. I've made a couple of movies with him, and when I was starting my company, I knew, I've always loved, I love this space, the genre space. And I was, a big fan of the show. And I saw it. So personally, it was a really big interest to me because I love the show, and I'm a huge fan of Eric's, and he's a friend of mine. But also business wise, I just knew there's a fandom out there, and I knew if we could put the right team together, people would eat it up. And I was surprised that nobody had done it yet, to be honest with you. um, uh, so uh, so he helped me get in contact with Rob and Rich, and you know, they were into it because they're doing so much with the conventions, and I think people will love it. And I think, hopefully, we'll keep going until we
Yeah.
finish it in season 15.
Yeah. Um, so what was that process like? Because this is not like me, right? Susan Enchanted Crossroads is just me. Hey, do you want to start a podcast? Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's get it going. But this is supernatural. So did you got in touch with Mr. Kripke and then you just
Yeah.
went from there? Like, is there any, I mean, because again, I'm a small podcast right now. So were there any like things you had to do within licensing or anything
No, because it,
else?
it was because the all the actors and whatnot are, and the writers and producers, it's their life story that they're
Hmm.
sharing, and so it doesn't require a license from Warner Brothers to make the podcast. Just like if any one of them were to write a book about
Hmm.
like my time on Supernatural, like it's their story,
Cool.
it's their experiences they're sharing.
Okay.
Um, and so we're able to kind of do it, kind of as a, official, unofficial podcast. But Eric, he was really instrumental in the beginning of like helping
Hmm.
us, just letting everybody know. He sent out an e really nice email letting everybody know that we are doing this, and, you know, encouraging everybody to participate, and and then, obviously Rob and Rich know everybody from the show, so
Yeah.
it's pretty easy to kind of it's easy to get people to say yes, but then to your earlier comment about like trying to get everybody booked at the same time,
Uh-huh.
it's
Yeah.
like it's sometimes it's conveniently impossible.
Yeah, and I didn't start understanding that until I'm going to my first convention in October. I'm going to
Oh,
Philly.
nice.
Um, and then the fans are amazing. Oh my God. And even the actors, but just knowing like, oh my gosh, they're in this place on this day and this place and this photo shoot. And to me, I'm like, wow, that
Yeah.
even as this, obviously still listening to the podcast. Um, even when, I think there was, I can't remember who, maybe it was Mr. Singer. Something had happened within scheduling, and they were
Yeah.
like, you'll hear half of it today and then
Yeah.
half next week. And I was like, that is so real. I
Yeah.
love that authenticity of like, hey, sometimes our schedules just
Yeah.
do not align.
And we really tried to be diligent about trying, getting, and I don't think we've missed, I think one time we published a day late. In the 3.5 years we've been doing it. But we work really hard to try and get those episodes out every Monday. We try to stay ahead of it the best we can. Sometimes we'll have 3 or 4 episodes ahead, and sometimes Trey is editing moments before we publish. Um, so
What's
it's
up, booty? That's all I can think of now.
um, so it's hard for, you know, and it's like right now specifically, it's kind of just because of everyone's summer schedules, because so many people are traveling, and
Right.
it's really hard to kind of get people locked in.
Right. When they're with kids and camps, I can already imagine.
Yeah, and then it's convention season, and so Rob and Rich,
Hmm.
are at a convention at least twice a month doing, what they do.
Yeah. When you had envisioned uh this podcast, did you envision Robin Rich always, or were you just kind of whoever does it?
I mean, I had a list, and we talk about this. I actually approached Misha first, and Misha didn't feel like it was the right thing for him, and so he was like, he's like, you should totally get Robin Rich to do it. They'd be perfect for it. Um, so that was kind of the kind of sequence of events that led to
Yeah.
Robin Rich hosting the show.
I love listening to the bloopers. So, how's it? What's it like working with those two?
Oh,
I
that's
can just
great. I
imagine.
mean, it's great. I mean, they're both funny and affable and super nice guys, and you know, uh, it- it's the bloopers come from small talk or inappropriate
Hmm.
jokes or from errors that are in the script or what. And Trey Booty, who's the editor, he does a great job of like curating those and selecting those. Uh, but yeah, they're some like you, like some people say it's their favorite part of the podcast.
It's so funny. And in the first season, because I listen in the morning, I'm getting ready for work, and it's ended, da da da, and then there was the and then the bloopers. I was like, there's bloopers. And then I remember a few episodes later, it's like, hey, so we're noticing y'all don't stay to the very end. You're gonna want to. There's bloopers at the end. And I was like,
Yeah,
who doesn't listen to the end? But that's Chef's Kiss. That's awesome. I
yeah,
love the
no,
behind the scenes stuff always.
yeah, it's
I know
fun.
you said you record it, you try to get ahead of it. Have you finished all 15 seasons or are you rewatching with Robin Rich?
I rewatched with Robin Rich when I before the podcast. I only had watched through season 5 and then a handful of like fan favorite episodes, and then I watched kind of a big, most of season 15 at the end just to see how it was all going to wrap up. And so right now we're mid season 7, and it's the first time I'm seeing a lot of the episodes.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, because and then I was like, let me rewatch it with Robin Rich so I can be a part of like it's almost like an immersive experience because you're talking about where you get, crew to come in, not just the actors, which obviously the actors, Jared Jensen, Misha, but to understand like the music and sound and lighting and producing and directing has been an eye opener. So kudos to you because that's amazing. Even getting
Yeah.
the guests
I mean,
to come on.
it's a great show, not just for people that are fans of Supernatural, but it's a great show
Mhm.
if like for like television 101 of
Yeah.
if you want to learn how a television show is made soup to nuts from, being pitched to being shot to being edited to being, having the sound design to, we always in every episode, every season, I really try to kind of shine the light on a handful of crew members that you wouldn't
Mhm.
normally think of. Like we just had the graphic designers on as guests.
Mhm.
And so it was really interesting to hear their story and their perspective and what they do for the show. And, we always get, the writer, director, the guest star, one of the regulars, on as many episodes as we can. But, Rob Rich and I feel it's important to kind of shine a light on everybody that made the show.
Mhm.
Because that's really the premise of the podcast is celebrating the people that made it,
Yes.
that made the series. Because we had a lot of questions about like, oh, you should have a fan on the show, or we should talk about,
Mhm.
it's not about fan theories and it's not about
Mhm.
the fans' interpretation of it. It's about the people that made Supernatural.
Made it possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
I listened to that episode and you think about it like, oh, the sign or garage or motel, but then it's like dad's journal and what's on it, especially now because everyone's like zooming in and what did it say?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I stopped and I was like, the dad's journal. Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about all the work that just goes into something
That
so
little prop.
simple. Yeah. And then it's like this big thing. Do you have a favorite episode so far on the show or maybe of the podcast?
A favorite episode of the show. I
Or do you have a
liked,
preferred season?
yeah, yeah. I like season 2 a lot, to be honest. Um, I was gonna say like my favorite episode might be the one that kind of just popped in my head was the season 2 premiere
Mm.
where John dies.
Hmm.
Um, just a great, incredibly well written episode, great
Yeah.
performances by Jared and Jensen and Jeffrey. Um, it's one that kind of still sticks with me a bit.
I, as I'm rewatching, and I always think, how could you have a favorite?
Yeah.
Like it's everyone just brings such, oh my gosh, the dynamic within the characters and just the storyline, like you said, it was amazing. And I'm honestly very lucky that I don't have to wait each day, the next
Yeah.
day, like, and then a next season where it leaves on a cliffhanger, and it's like, what do you mean,
Yeah, I mean they do a
Um,
great job. I mean, it's season 7 and like
Mhm.
the writers and the actors do such an incredible job of just keeping you engaged. I mean, it's really impressive. It's really,
Yeah,
really impressive.
this whole time, because even now in 7 seasons, that's a good amount of
Yeah,
seasons
yeah,
right
and we're
there.
not even halfway through yet.
Exactly. So, I know you had said when Trey is editing and there's some typos. When you're writing those out, is it like on the fly, or you already done like a little bit of research on that episode, or you're just,
Yeah,
what
I
I was
spent
thinking of was Rob's dumb notes, and I was like, I like Rob's dumb notes.
no, those are all Rob's. That's all Rob on the fly.
Okay.
I write, a summary and then really some bullet points for fun facts and mythology, and it's kind of the rest is all filled in by Rob and Rich. Um, and I'll write like maybe a half dozen questions just so like to help guide the conversation in
Hmm.
case they're like they get lost or kind of need a moment to kind of help get them to the next talking point. Um, but um, but yeah, I usually write it like 2 or 3 days before, and then send it to the guys the day we record. Um, and yeah, I mean those typos are real, unfortunately.
Oh, fortunate though. I love it. To me, I would have been like, "Oh my God, there's a typo," but there it's just funny how they have that banter back and forth. He's like, "I don't know, man, that's what I'm reading the script." And
Yeah, that's kind of
it,
the attempted testament to their brilliance to take an
hmm.
error and turn it into kind of the a key piece of the fabric of the show.
Yes, for sure. And from there, they had their other podcast, Kings of Con,
Yeah,
and that's even, and then that's just kind of a casual conversation, but yeah, it's a testament to their dynamic together, which is fun.
yeah,
Have you thought about what might be next when y'all are done?
a little
Season
bit.
finale
We've
after 15?
Yeah, I mean it depends what our listenership is like and what the mood that all th the three of us are in if we want to keep going. But we have a couple of ideas of like, all right, if we were gonna do all 15 season and want to keep going, like what would we do and how would
Hmm.
we kind of reimagine the show? And there's a couple of thoughts, but I don't think we have to worry about that till 2028.
Yeah. I had just seen on, I don't know, it was an Instagram post to be honest, and then Misha even had responded to this or added his own comment. But have you had any concern if Netflix no longer has Supernatural?
I
I know it's
don't.
other places, but
Yeah, I think I don't know if Supernatural. I mean, if Netflix has an option to renew, but if they do, I would imagine they're going to renew.
hmm,
Um, but if they don't, I imagine HBO Max is going to, you know,
swoop in. Yeah.
swoop in and post it. So I think it'll always be available on one of the streamers. I don't think
Yeah.
Supernatural's ever going to be difficult to find.
Yeah. Um, that was my last Supernatural. I was just like, oh my gosh, do you go to any of the conventions?
I went to the one in Burbank, and had like a little meetup for the fans of
Hmm,
the podcast. So I try, maybe once a year I'll try to do something like that.
cool. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll see each other sometime.
Yeah. Where in Texas are you?
I'm far west, so I'm in El Paso.
Okay. Yeah. Because I know there's a convention they do in Austin.
Yeah,
Um,
that's about 9 hours from me.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Texas is
Texas is big.
massive. Yeah. I used to live in Austin, and then I'm just like, dang, man. Oh well, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's a little trip I'm taking. Okay, let's switch gears back to Anomaly because I love this role playing visualization as we spoke about. And I did like one of the questions, have you are familiar with Dungeons and Dragons? And I wanted to get into it, but I didn't know anybody that would help the newbie. Um, but these fantasies and magical worlds that you create, can you walk me through how you create these worlds? Like, do they come in through meditation? Do you just have these stories ready to be woven? Are you
Yeah. I mean,
yourself
it's
a little witchy?
a little bit. I think it's with Anomaly season one, the idea there was a couple different ideas. One of them was like, all right, sound is magic. Let's start with that.
Hmm.
Um, that the all the kind of magic in Anomaly is based on sound. Now that could be words spoken in a spell that enchant something. That could be the sound of you know, kind of kind of a sound bowl that enchants something. That could be like massaging crystals in your hand, and that sound enchants something. So that's kind of the one kind of starting principle in there. And then it's the analogy of rebirth was another
Hmm.
big kind of story element. Once you'll get to the end, you'll see in the finale, it's like all about the whole season is about being reborn.
Wow.
And so I think that was a kind of a story element. And then from there came the the big bad. I won't give it away who the bad guy is. Um,
Mm.
but was tied to kind of rebirth and self-destruction a little bit.
Wow.
Um, and so a lot of these story elements were really just analogies for those things like rebirth and self-destruction and self-forgiveness. And and so and then and then we knew I wanted it kind of to take place in like a Tolkien-esque world.
Mm.
Um and so then the kind of the pieces just started coming together, and and I and the Ruth was I actually wrote Ruth Connell's character for her because I knew I wanted to get Ruth because she has such a great voice, and so I kind of
Yes.
that character she plays is kind of was written for her.
Hmm.
Um, but the other two characters, the one that Todd plays, the one that NC plays, um, existed before the actors were brought in. Because actually, for Todd's character, um, Todd Stashwick's character, I always imagined it would be like a Gandalf sounding voice.
Uh-huh.
Um, but once I met Todd and kind of became friends with him and stuff, I was like, actually, Todd would be perfect for this. He has a really great voice for it. So
Hmm.
it's kind of a little bit of a shift.
Oh, oh, I can't wait. Um, like I'm gonna listen to it right now. I had a workshop called Tarot and Quill
Hmm.
where I used um tarot cards in a small group setting, and I would pull a card. Let's say I'm looking at the Three of Pentacles right now. So
Hmm.
kind of taking there's in this particular card, there's three male figures and they're woodworking on something very zoned in. And then I have the Ace of Wands, new beginnings and something that's sparking that creativity. And that was to help bring in those that were maybe had a creative block. And then as I presented the cards and, the photos of them, send Reiki just to ease any tension, open up any blocks, and kind of set them on their way with, sound healing in the background. Have when you, if you ever are stuck creatively, how do you personally get unstuck? If you have any, I don't know, I got to get up, touch my toes, or any kind
Yeah.
of thing, give yourself a wiggle. How do you get out of those, or out of that rut, or out of that stuck?
I go for walks in nature. It kind of
Mm,
really unlocks me.
perfect.
Um, and actually, like, uh, one of my, if I have the time, um, I ride my bike. If I can get in kind of to get it like a 2 hour bike ride in, I can really the repetitive motion of it, gets me into kind of a hypnotic state.
Mm,
And some of my best ideas and breakthroughs come through when like I'm just like kind of lost in cycling.
hmm.
And um because because like walk in nature, it's like it'll unlock something, but it usually only have like 15 minutes.
Right.
But if I have like 2 hours, like it really kind of unlocks and unblocks a lot of stuff.
Nice, good. Yeah, I do. I'll take a walk with my dog, if
Hmm.
anything, right? And unplugged, you know, just to listen to footsteps, how they sound.
Yeah.
And oh, here's the bird. And even the cars I would pass by, just listening to it approach, be close by, and then leave, which is why I really felt that connection when I was listening to Anomalie with just the water,
The water, but
and
you mentioned the footsteps. Like the footsteps are
mhm.
timed if to be we intentionally time them to be hypnotic.
Mm,
So like when you'll like
wow.
there'll be moments in Anomaly where it's like, all right, you're gonna take a walk into the woods and you hear the kind of the footsteps
Yes.
starts walking. Those are intentionally designed but could be in like a hypnotic cadence to help
Mm,
get you into a more relaxed state.
that's
Because
amazing.
I found myself doing that too when I'm like going those knocks on walks in nature. I'll just kind of listen to the kind of the crackle of the sand and the rocks under my feet, and
Hmm.
it's kind of it's nice to focus on that.
Yes, and I actually got into that practice as I was taking dance in college, and I was taking contemporary dance. So, you ballet, jazz, hip hop, and you start getting into contemporary dance, which is really a connection with the body and the things around you, and actually, in lack of better words, feeling the energy, almost like the air as you, maybe push your hands out and then stepping in that sound. And I had an amazing professor, Emily, and she took us out of the studio and was like, "We're actually going to walk this path." And at first, you feel silly because you're out in university grounds and people are going to and from class and driving through, and you just see these dancers in black and different colors just kind of going through movements. But after a while, once you kind of get out of the ego and just kind of come into self, it was very, very therapeutic. And that's where I was
Yeah.
like, wow, this is such impactful movement, but also the sound of it, which you said, like the repeating steps.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's, and dance is like because it's so tied to sound, to music.
Hmm.
People, a lot of dancers, and I'm sure you experience this, and it's hard I imagine it's probably hard to teach, but people get so locked up in the mechanics of the dance
Yes.
that you're like, are you even listening to the music? Like, like,
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yes.
and it's like it's those the most powerful dancers, the people that like emotionally move you, like you feel like they're embodying that sound,
Hmm.
and it's and it's a talent, and it's a skill that I think it's incredibly admirable if you can do it. But I mean, like people just get caught up in like the pacing and the
Hmm.
move and the blah, 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 blah,
Right.
and it's like they're kind of sometimes missing the whole point, I think.
Hmm. And just to come back to when you first started, you're on YouTube and a lot of them sound exactly the same as how
Yeah.
I feel a lot about how we're moving into dance now. We know where TikTok blew up with all the dances. And at first I was like, good, get the kids just rhythmically going, right? Don't be shy, get out there. But then it's like, okay, now embody if you really listen and close your eyes and hear the music, do you hear maybe a symbol in the background that you didn't catch right away? That's important. You can hit that sound and really moving in a way that moves your body like within yourself, just as you do with Anomalie. Okay, so done for the day, no more work, especially with this hustle bustle culture, right? You have cell phone, emails you've already answered. Tell me how you prioritize your self-care and stillness after
At
a
the
long
end,
day,
I
at the
see.
end of the day.
I'm not great at it. I'm still working on it. I try to spend some time outside. Um, but to be honest, I'm still trying to figure out that routine because I'm not great at it. Because usually at the end of the day, I'm just like, I got to make dinner and get ready for the next day,
Hmm.
and it's just like blah 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 blah. And I have to find a way to kind of, you know, wind down
A little bit more.
a
Yeah.
little more. Yeah, I'm still working on that piece of it.
We'll get you a little Reiki sesh. I'll send it over. All right, end of the day. There you go. Um, as I was in Anomaly, the community there is also amazing.
Yeah.
And the chats are beautiful too. Like, have a wonderful day. This really moved me. As soon as you finish one, right? As the observer, I love that.
Mhm.
And you were on there quite a bit, you
I
know?
try to spend time there.
Yeah. And I obviously didn't realize how active you were. So I think it was yesterday you posted a brief talk from Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Hmm.
And what you posted really aligns with what I tell my listeners and my clients, especially when I'm teaching Reiki, because again, as you had alluded earlier, right? It's like you think meditation is like, oh, it's spiritual, oh, it's witchy, oh, it's the woo. And
Hmm.
same goes for Reiki, right? Because everyone thinks, oh, it might be a spiritual practice. What is this? And there's not a lot known. And I'm like, there's been studies. It's been done in hospitals. It helps patients. Ease the nervous system. That's really what Reiki is.
Hmm.
And I really love the power of community, which is another reason why I started this podcast. But can you talk to me a little bit about the community that you're building over at Anomaly?
Yeah, so it's I think community if anything you're working on in terms of like self-improvement or self-care, um, community can be a really great piece of it. And so we relaunched Anomaly on this new platform rather than just as a podcast. On if you're listening, we wanted to really have some great community features because, a regular podcast, you can't connect with community on Spotify or iHeart or Apple or
Right.
wherever you listen. And so on this new platform, it's really there's a visual element to it now. So if you're watching,
Hmm.
we have added these kind of hypnotic images to help kind of center you if you're gonna I mean, I encourage everybody to listen with their eyes closed, but if you wanted to
Right.
kind of watch something to help get you in the mood, there's something there to kind of help ground you a bit. But yeah, we wanted fans to gather here and not on Instagram or Twitter or anything like that, and we wanted a positive community because I think that's a critical part of self-care is being in safe spaces.
Yeah.
And if anybody
And
wants to subscribe, and they use the code MAGIC, they can get 60% off their first month.
oh,
So,
awesome. All right, listeners. Well, there you go. And I'll put that in the show notes. Thank you.
yeah.
Um, I know you had offered that when I was in that Zoom session with you and Ruth Connell, everyone's favorite supernatural witch. And I was too excited. I was like, I don't care. I'll pay all the money right now because I wanted to be a part of it because everything that y'all were discussing were just it was just gold. I was like, this is gold. Y'all need everyone in the chat needs to like do this now.
Yeah.
And even being a part of Anomaly, I have it downloaded. I love how I just like to be in competition with myself. And it's like your streak. And I was like, oh, Steve done it. I'm gonna keep this streak alive. I don't know who thought of that, but I was like, yes, I need to continue that streak. That's what keeps me reading, to be very honest. Even though I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't want to read, but you know what? I got my streak. That Kindle's
Yeah.
got my streak going, so that's what
That's awesome.
I do. But even in the questions that you ask subscribers and those that log in, and then it connects you with like, hey, you're connected like with these people, and you have
Yeah.
a lot in common. And I'm like, so smart.
Yeah.
And I think that just really is going to build that community even like closer, really have that connection with each other. So we're not just, strangers just enjoying Anomaly, right? Have
1000%.
that
Yeah.
connection.
Yeah. 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 And
Beautiful.
then, and to talk about Anomaly and talk about your journey and, um, I just think there's so many toxic places online right now. I think
Hmm.
to have some place right now that's safe is important.
Yes, I agree. Beautiful. I'm just going to give you some fun kind of spill the tea questions
Okay.
before we close out. What is one sound that instantly calms you?
Rain.
Do you listen to rain sounds when you sleep?
Sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. Um, your talk when you're actually and you're bringing in, pink sounds and white sound. I was like, wow, that I had just found that out just the week before when
Yeah.
you introduced that. So I'm
Yeah.
excited for that. Okay, what is your perfect or favorite meditative setting, whether it's nature's indoors, water, candles, etc.?
Nature. Nature for sure.
Nature like a forest or nature like a beach?
A forest.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. What is a podcast, book, or show that recently moved you?
It's kind of an unexpected one, but on HBO Max, the two-part Pee Wee Herman documentary.
I've been wanting to watch that.
Yeah, it was amazing. I was a big Pee Wee fan as a kid, and just amazing to hear his story.
I'll have to cue that for sure. Okay. When you're not working, what do you do for fun?
Um, I try to enjoy the outdoors, paddle boarding,
Mm.
biking, kind of echoing some of the stuff we mentioned earlier.
Um, most unexpected thing you've learned on your journey in creating the world of Anomaly.
The most unexpected thing. So I interviewed a bunch of guests, not guests, a bunch of listeners. I interviewed like 25 listeners over the summer, just to try and collect information about how we can make the show better. And I was amazed at how much of the audience are somehow caregivers.
Mhm.
Either they live with somebody that needs, um, is differently abled and needs additional help because of a disease or a born, whatever it is, or injury. Um, and so they're responsible for that person's care, or they were professionally caring for people, either as
Mm.
nurses or in nursing homes or like teaching autistic kids or blind kids. I was really surprised, out of the 25 people or so I interviewed, I would say like 20 of them somehow fell into that category. And I thought that was really interesting.
That's very beautiful because I like to remind my listeners, it's very important that you fill up your own cup because we
Hmm.
constantly pour into other people as caregivers, or
Yeah.
we're a listening ear, a shoulder to cry on. You can vent to me anytime, and it's important to fill your own cup, even the meditation here on Anomaly or chatting with someone as part of this community, listening to this podcast, just taking time for yourself in order to fill your cup. So I'm
Yeah, I think
I'm
that's
glad.
a really interesting point. Like maybe that it is, you know, that's why Anomaly is effective is because it's helping people fill their cup. It's kind of a really
Hmm.
good way to look at it. I like that.
Yeah. Last, dream guest you would love to collaborate with.
I would love to, and I think we could probably make this happen, is I would love to do a collaboration with Disney and Lucasfilm and have the armor from The Mandalorian
Oh my gosh.
do a series of guided meditations about becoming a Mandalorian and have Emily Swallow come in and do the voice who does the voice of the armor. And we can, I mean, she's a Supernatural alumni as well, and Ruth and
Mhm.
Rob are friendly with her. Um, but I would love to hear like 6 episodes where like she's like one episode's about confidence, one episode's about strength, one episode's about skill, and she's just like walking you through this. I think that would be a blast.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
The new moon is tonight, so maybe you should manifest that. Well, I'll manifest it for you
Yeah.
also.
Oh, it's
That sounds
happening. I
amazing.
see it in the future for sure.
Heck yes. Okay, what are you working on now or in the future that you are excited to share with the listeners today?
I mean, all of my attention right now is on Supernatural and Anomaly. I'm trying to, we're working on more episodes in different realms, different worlds, and trying to raise money and get more subscribers. So it's kind of, I'm working on it 20, 30 hours a week. So it's a lot. It's
Yes.
not a lot. I mean, it's just it's what I spend all my time doing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll make sure we push Anomaly, we push Super. I mean, I do anyway because I'm a fan. I'm a super fan. So it's like you gotta listen to this podcast, even if you're not, because there's even almost like if you're not a fan or you just don't really know the show. I think there's just so much you can learn, especially if you're film, television. It was like when I was dancing as well, like, and then you look at the backstage. You're
Hmm.
only, I mean, you can be on the stage, but there's lighting, there's sound,
Yeah.
there's,
Yeah.
you know, runners, and so much goes into it that I think it would be great for everyone just to take a listen
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Maybe I'll publish
Um,
like a, a set of episodes that are like specifically TV focused and like if you want to learn about TV,
like this is it.
yeah, listen to these 12 episodes. You'll know everything you need to know about making television.
Exactly. And where can listeners find you and your work?
So my company website, storymill.media, has kind of all the kind of different shows I've worked on and a little bit about me and my email address is even there if anyone wants to reach out and say hello. Um, but yeah, or you can find me on Instagram. I post a lot there too.
Okay, awesome. And listeners, this was a treat. So thank you, Mr. Heim, for being on. And I'm going to link everything in the show notes. Remember, magic for that code on Anomaly. And I love it. And I always preface this is not sponsored. I pay with my own money. I enjoy all of this, that you are putting out, and just a super fan. And, you reaching out and answering this small town girl. El Paso's not that small, but and listening and taking time, to be here and to share all of your work. I think it's amazing. So I want to thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thanks, Susie. Thank you for sharing your time with me, and thanks for sharing your audience with me. I really enjoyed our conversation.
I am absolutely still buzzing from this episode. Having Steve Hein on the show was a total pinch me, I must be dreaming moment. And I'm so glad I manifested it. Right? Like I said, I wanted to shoot my shot, and there it was. And I'm so glad that I did. Tell me that he's not down to earth as he is inspiring. His energy, his insight, and the pride that he pours into his projects literally blew me away. It's like you know when someone creates something or when they're so passionate about something through their project, but then once you get them talking about it, you're just like, yeah, and then you can really feel the magic, like almost like the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into it. But to me, he's not just creating shows. He's building worlds, right? And I do want to preface that yes, he does Supernatural Then and Now, but he also has another podcast um, called Your Mom is a Podcast. I haven't heard, but I do want to take a quick listen to some of those episodes. And also Anomalie. So I was thrilled to hear about just not the care, but the intention he puts into it and the deep research. That's where I was like, yes, now I can see how that he truly connects with the people his shows are made for, and you can feel it. So, if this episode lit a little spark in you like it did me, I highly, highly encourage you to explore his newest creation at seekanomaly.com. And because you're part of this magical crossroads community, use the code MAGIC at checkout for a special discount. Steve's way of sharing a little extra enchantment with us. And I want to say thank you so much for sharing that, Steve. That was so very, very nice of you. And hey, maybe if you get in there, let them know Susie from Susie's Enchanted Crossroads sent you. That's how you found it. And who knows, maybe we'll find each other in that cosmic anomaly community, right? That would be awesome. So again, everything is in the show notes. Click all the buttons. You know where to find me. And until next time, stay magical. Remember, you are the magic. Keep shooting your shot, gorgeous soul. And until next time, I will see you at the crossroads. Thank you for listening to this episode of Susie's Enchanted Crossroads. I'd love to hear what resonated with you, so don't be shy. Tap the links in the show notes to send a message or share your thoughts. Make sure you leave a review because your voice helps this community grow and guides others to find this podcast and their magic. Want even more enchantment between episodes? Sign up for my weekly newsletter for rituals, energy tips, and exclusive updates. And don't forget to follow me on my socials on Instagram and TikTok for your daily doses of magic, silliness, and behind the scene moments. If you felt a little magic today, share this episode with a friend who might need it. And until next time, I will see you at the crossroads.
No worries.
But thank you so much. That's an honor just to have you on and you're
Yeah.
listening. I mean, I knew who you were because from Supernatural, right?
Yeah.
And then I binge watched the whole podcast and I'll get to it in here too, but just listening to all the things that go on in the background. Like I know because
Yeah.
I'm a little, it's just me,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you have all these people and things, and then listening when I logged in with you and Ruth Connell, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. And when I hopped on because I had heard on the podcast, like I
Sure.
was like, oh, this is interesting.
Yeah.
And then not gonna lie, life, and I forgot about it. And then when I was really listening, I was like, wow, this really aligns with what I do. And I'm like, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
shoot my shot. I'm gonna send the email. Why not?
Yeah. I'm glad you did. I'm glad you sent the email. I was a bit coy about it at first, about kind of really communicating the whole kind of really more the storytelling aspect of Anomaly. I wanted to kind of surprise people a bit, but I think now I'm just kind of putting it all out there because I think before people just thought, oh, it's just like Ruth Connell guiding meditations, but the fact that it's like it's a multi-episode story, like a television season that unfolds with these characters, um, is a really unique feature that I think people will like once they know it.
Yes, I'm loving it. Like I already bought the whole thing. Like I'm on here. I see you like posting things. I was like, wow, you're so hands-on, which I'll get to also in the interview. But I just want to like right now gush like how amazing it is. Like I am like, wow,
Well, what
this is
episode
so
how far are
awesome.
you into it?
I just started, so I just
Yeah.
unlocked the fairy circle, I think.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Because I have to re-listen also because I get so into it and then I'll doze off. And I put that, I'm like,
Yeah.
I dozed off, I had to do it again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
it's great for
lovely.
repeat listening because there's like some Easter eggs in there that connect to other episodes.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. I'm just like, it's for me as a teacher, right? And just everything else, to calm down is like,
Yeah.
okay, it's okay for me to take a second to sit and relax and listen to
Yeah.
this.
What kind of stuff do you teach? Do you teach elementary school or teach?
So I taught elementary, but right and middle school, but right now I'm at the high school.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So yeah, I'm teaching high school level kids. And as I got into Reiki,
Hmm.
with all of that and meditation and how even some of the people are like, I can't visualize. It's hard for me to relax. I can't sit down for more than 5 minutes because, I'm neurodivergent.
Hmm.
Coming into Reiki, a lot of people do it differently, right? And they're in silence, sending you the energy. But I've always been the talker, so I'm always guiding, and I do a guided
Hmm.
meditation to the point where I had to ask my Reiki master, the teacher, like, is this normal? Because I feel if we're doing it this way, because I do it on Zoom and
Hmm.
in person, but if there's not background going on, even I receiving, I'm like, did I lose connection? Because my brain
Yeah.
doesn't know how to relax. So
Yeah.
I've always did a guided meditation, and it just comes to me. So I don't pre-write it. And of course, she's like, yeah,
Hmm.
that's just how you do Reiki.
Yeah.
So in the public school system, I'm in Texas. So it's rough out here,
Hmm.
and we have state testing. So a lot of the students, the kids, don't know how to just be, especially when they have their cell phones. So
Hmm.
I started implementing once a month just breathing exercises and meditation.
Hmm.
And I have to phrase it in a way where it's like, you can sit in silence, you can think about whatever. And then I kind of guide them, and then they enjoyed it.
Hmm.
And then this past school year, I started doing it every Monday to set the energy for the week.
That's great. With the
And
students? Yeah.
with every class. It's a
Yeah.
lot, I have 7 classes and 45 minutes each. So, but at the end of the day, they're enjoying it. And then they
Hmm.
were able to, for the most part, and dance is a little bit easier because most of them want to be there. But when they have to go
Hmm.
to like algebra or English, they did say they had a little bit more patience, a little bit more calm,
Yeah.
which is, for me, it's the end goal.
Do you know if any of them have tried, or if you've kind of presented them with a challenge to try and do it for just 5 minutes at home every day?
Yes. So I told them that they don't have to wait till every Monday.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they want someone to guide them, but
Yeah.
a lot of, for our kiddos, especially at the high school level, it's a little harder. They work, they have to help support
Sure.
brother, sister. So for them, it's not really feasible. But I do tell them, hey, when you're wherever, the bathroom, whatever, 2 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Because I mean, if you can do like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, if you get it up to five, if you can do it every day,
hmm
that's where you're really going to see the change, like actual physical and chemical changes in the brain that kind of have a lasting impact, to really kind of like
hmm
ripple throughout the day and kind of help you with that emotional processing and focus and relaxing. Um, it's like a muscle.
it
You want
is.
you got to use it. If you do it every day, that's where you're going to really see the impact.
Yeah. Well, that's my goal for this school year. There's a lot of changes with everything going on in the Department of Education, but that's
Sure.
that's the goal of just maybe, we breathe for 2 minutes and then maybe we can build up, but
Yeah.
moving it along.
Yeah.
Okay. That way I can honor your time. I'm gonna do your bio and like all of your accolades and your amazing work. I'll pre-record it and then I'll just add it onto this if that's okay.
Perfect. Yeah. I love it.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm just gonna start my intro.
Can you hear
I'm
me?
so sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
Mercury
Okay.
Retrograde. I'm so sorry.
No worries. Um,
When we were scheduling
uh,
this, I was like, we're in the middle of Mercury Retrograde. I'll have to edit that. I'm so sorry.
no worries. No worries. But yeah, it was when we relaunched Anomaly. Of
Thank you so much. I hope you had a good time. I had a
course.
blast.
No, that was fun. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I had a couple of breakthroughs, so I appreciate it.
Oh, yay. Awesome.
Um,
Um,
just if you could do me the favor,
mhm.
when you do record the intro, just point people to seekanomaly.com and just mention that code again if you wouldn't mind.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Seekanomaly.com. I'm going through, all of your founder, and I'm just like, man, you've accomplished so much. I hope you give yourself the
Oh,
kudos that you deserve, honestly. I feel
that's
like
great to
this
hear,
is
Susie. Thank you.
just in speaking with you, I'm like, oh my gosh. I know you've won the awards, which I will post,
Yeah.
but I'm like, give this man more awards. You do so much. This is amazing, and I hope you're giving yourself the kudos you deserve. You really should
Oh,
be patting
thanks.
yourself on the back. And
Thanks.
I
That's
know
great.
it's you have a team, and also, but you creating these things, even in asking you the fun questions, it's not surprising that a lot of people finding it are
Yeah.
caretakers for others, just trying to find even just a little bit of relief and
Yeah.
release in what you're doing. And it's very important. I really appreciate what you
Oh,
do
thanks. And
for this
it's great
community.
to hear from someone like you because it's obviously you really get it. Like you
Mhm.
really get like what we were trying to do, and that's just from listening to an episode, listening to 3 episodes or 4 episodes. So it's great to hear from somebody like you who came into it and discovered it and heard it and got it.
Thanks. I actually would like to, when the school year gets rolling a little bit, actually play Anomaly for my students. If you
Yeah,
wouldn't
that'd be
mind, I
amazing.
would love
Oh,
to
go
shoot
for
you
it.
an email
Yeah,
and let you know how it goes
that would be incredible.
on the younger kiddo spectrum. But I mean, they're teens,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
and see how they take that. I remember one time I had to put YouTube on, and they're just Miss, that's not the same. And I'm like, I'm sorry, guys, I had to do this thing, so I only had YouTube, and I'm trying to finish some paperwork I had to do and I had already promised a meditation day,
Yeah.
and I was like, I'm so sorry, I'll get you there, but I've got to work, so you're going to hear the YouTube, and then you just hear the, and I was like, I was cringing a little bit. I was like, oh my God, what is this? And they were appreciative, like, thanks for trying, Miss. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'll record myself next time and
Yeah,
just
exactly.
send it that
That's
way.
funny.
But yeah. Thank you so much. I want to honor your time
Awesome.
and not keep you any
No
later,
worries.
but
Yeah, this was great. I really enjoyed it. Time flew.
it did. And I actually stayed within time, and I'm a big talker, so that's why I had
Awesome.
notes. 'Cause
I
I was
love it. I
like,
love it. Well, it was great to meet you, and thanks again for the
yeah.
invite. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. I'll tag you. I do have Instagram, so I'll tag you and Anomaly and all of that good
Perfect.
stuff. All
Awesome.
right. Thank you so
Awesome.
much. Have
All
a
right. Have
great
a great week.
evening.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, my beautiful, gorgeous souls. Don't forget that you can find everything linked in the show notes. You know where to find me on Instagram. You can shoot me an email. I would love to hear your thoughts on this episode and episodes to come. When this drops, the new moon in Leo had already come and gone, but don't worry. You can pick up past episodes on other moon phases that you can make some moon water with. And we're still in that Mercury retrograde. So, restart, rest, do all the reads, and make sure that you are taking care of you and filling your cup. And you can find all the links in the show notes. And until next time, I will see you at the crossroads.